Thank you very much, Serdar Demir, for your presentation. Please take your seat, and I invite all our speakers for the roundtable discussion, and also Dr. Luis Martin Domingo as the moderator. But plus, I would also like to invite Dato Azmi Murat, Executive Director of Malaysia Airports, and also Önder Göçmen, Deputy Director General at Ministry of Customs and Trade, to join us for the roundtable.
No, I'm going to stand up. It's not a problem. Just to do some exercise.
Ondan sonra önce belki grupları hiç bilmiyorsun, takip etmiyorsun.
Okay. Thank you very much for wait until this moment. I know, I know Serdar was saying that the last presentation it was difficult, so now the roundtable is going to be even more difficult. Yeah. But I would like to highlight a couple of things here, just connecting to the presentation today. We have been talking a lot about capacity because we are creating a lot of cargo capacity in Turkey and abroad. So from our university, we have to try to put a capacity according to the presentation today. To put. Also, we are talking about when you increase capacity, you decrease price. Basically, we have done it for free today. This has been free for guests, people coming here. And then about flexibility. And I would like to also to mention this flexibility in this fora because until this moment we have been talking a lot about soft items. I mean, not only cargo capacity, but also the soft items about that we will be discussing now. And we have here the Deputy Director of Ministry of Customs, which just 10 minutes ago we arranged this setup table for having him in place, and 30 minutes before having our Executive Director, Azmi Murat, from Malaysian Airport, who is the 100% own of Sabiha International Airport, the operation of Sabiha International Airport. So thank you for your flexibility. So I see that has been a proof that the cargo business is a flexible business, and this is a proof of that. Just reviewing during the presentation in order to try to complete what we have been discussing today, I would like to divide this roundtable into two main groups of questions. One is the hardware of air cargo, and the second is the software of air cargo. About hardware, we are talking about capacity. I mean, basically, we have been talking here about having an increase in capacity. I mean, I heard numbers about 10 millions of tons for the capacity for the next years, 2 million here with the new airport. So we are talking about huge amount of new capacity. And Turkey and Istanbul is going to play an important role with the new capacity. At the same time, and we discussed more the last couple of versions of Istanbul Hub, we are having not only one single airport, but we are having two airports here, which is Sabiha, and I appreciate that you are here. So my question here is, when we look at that, how do you think Istanbul will be in a better position if this airport system of two airports, they compete to each other or they collaborate to each other? And we're going to start with we have to.
Thank you very much to the moderator and also to the panel of speakers. It was an excellent session and very knowledgeable that you shared with us. I was following through from morning. And to the university, thank you very much for giving Sabiha Göçmen the opportunity to be here this afternoon. It's an excellent session that we experienced here. And before I go answer your questions, I thought it was an excellent idea to have this kind of table from the university. It's a real aviation session. It's really, had it been an aircraft chair, that would have been
live every day. Anyway, thank you very much for that invitation. Certainly, we would like to work together with the Istanbul. Cities, major cities do have CSS. Istanbul, population of 14-15 million. London, population of 9 million. Paris, less than that. So we will continue to be there, and we will still have demand. And of course, there was the competition side where you will see the hinterland catchment area is huge, and population of 14 million, and the total passenger volume of this airport of 90 million a year. We handle such a 30 million last year, and I handle 60 million, 90 million for a city of this size, 14 million for the population with 90 million. That's a huge potential. And I have strong belief that we will both airports and both will complement.
Competition is always good. If you don't have competition, there is no fighting spirit. But it's not just about competition, it's also about collaboration. The success will come from the collaboration. So you can see two ways. You have a fantastic geographic asset. One in Europe, one in Asia. Now you have a beautiful tunnel also under the Bosphorus we put this morning that connect the two cities. So I believe that it's an asset. If I look at examples, for example, in Europe, where you have a big competition among hubs. One that came to my mind, you have a big competition between, especially on the cargo side, between Amsterdam and Brussels. Those are two airports competing. And if you see competition is really pulling the value proposition up. So my feeling is that it's really compete, but don't compete without the objective of the customer experience. The result of your competition should be really improve your customer experience. Because some shippers, they might need both. They might need to fly from the Asian side, they might need to fly from the airport side. So at the end of the day, a good competition is a competition which pulls the values up. So that's really, and it's necessary. Okay?
Well, maybe let's go, because don't give in this order the last versions and then move to the other side.
Okay, I think both competition and collaboration. Competition is very good because, I mean, first time, like, I don't exactly remember, but 10, 15 years ago, Turkish Airlines was the only carrier, also local, and then Pegasus came. It was difficult for Turkish Airlines, but it was great for Turkey. The important thing is the Turkey. So competition, yes, between the carriers, collaboration for Turkey. It's going to be difficult for us, but it's going to be great for Turkey.
It's a good analogy, this Turkish Airlines Pegasus for the on the bottom.
Okay. As customs officer, we are government, we are representative of government, so collaboration or competition, as Serdar Bey said, for us, Turkey is important. As Minister of Customs, we will be at the new airport, at the Atatürk Airport and Sabiha Gökçen Airport. So this is more just commercial rather than the
There is one thing maybe everyone will be catching here. So if we make some collaborations, especially in the cargo, so both airports can bring some cargo from other carriers, and they might transfer it as soon as possible to make it whole operation much more easier. So the Turkish customs also has to be really in line with the collaboration between two different airport customs authorities to make this transition much more quicker. I think this is one of the biggest challenges here for the cargo sector to make it run. Like we do in Dubai. Yeah.
Okay, now you want to take the...
Yes, I actually agree with what the other speakers are saying, but of course every airport has to look for its own value proposition, as you were saying. I can fully imagine that the Turkish Airlines, who's a network carrier, focuses its operation in one. But you have very good examples, look at London, where Heathrow is a network place, and Gatwick is a place where the EasyJet, the leisure carriers also fly. So I think your airport will be cheaper than the other one. You will see that €1 billion you give every year to the government. So I mean, of course, your airport will probably focus on the low cost, on the point-to-point traffic, on some ad hoc freighters and whatever. Like the new airport will definitely be your home base and add value there. That's connection. I'm not a big believer, to be honest, in chips between airports, because the value of the cargo, the cost of the cargo, of the revenue of the cargo is so low that it will be very expensive to do that. It's just that we're seeing these beautiful ideas about ports and rails, and to me, to be honest, this is marketing. I don't believe in that at all. Yes, for passengers in Hong Kong, it works very well. Right? You can go to Macau, you can go to mainland with that ship. It's perfect. Right? Also for cargo, it works if it's the end destination in the end, but it's mainly for passengers, and for cargo, the motor is expensive.
Actually, thank you. It was going to be my following question is, can you start some examples? I mean, looking at this hardware, I mean, capacity-wise, examples in the world that you can refer to for Turkey to look at as a good practice that could be adopted here, having the two airport systems and, I mean, some lessons maybe we can learn from other situations in the world. I mean, can you think about any case?
I mean, as
Kuala Lumpur, two airports, on the same airport, two terminals in one airport.
In Kuala Lumpur, we have got it's one airport, the premier airport, Kuala Lumpur 1, KLIA 1 and KLIA 2, where KLIA 1 is purely for the full service carriers and the KLIA 2 is the low cost mainly. Total capacity of 75 million, and last year we handled 52 million, and yeah, I agree with you that we need to collaborate and work on these systems. However, I have a question maybe to my colleague here from IATA, where I thought IATA would be able to facilitate the interlining of low cost and full service. Today, there is no such facility as yet, where a full service airline will interline with a low cost airline. You can check in on Pegasus and check through your bags to Kuala Lumpur, and you travel on the next full service at the point of arrival. So I think the success of the new airport, if IATA could work to introduce an interlining of low cost to a full service, that would be excellent.
But
can you help us?
Passenger, right?
That I'm talking of passenger.
Okay.
We can start off with passenger and we can move on to cargo. You know. Of course, I'm being an airport operator. I'm looking at passengers as well, both. Okay. Then I would also I was attracted to that slide by MNG when you showed a few challenges that you encountered, which I thought, with my due respect to my friend from customs, I think we need together as the players in the industry to find ways and means to improve on the services, availability of the custom facilities 24/7 at airports that operate 24/7. I think that goes a long way. We need that kind of support from government. There was also an issue of passport control you mentioned as one of the challenges, and you showed the arrow up and down. That for passenger as an airport operator, I think is very crucial and very critical. I appreciate the problems encountered within Turkey. However, we need to really address the issue of passport control at entry points into Turkey. The process of clearing passports at airports, it's quite miserable at times. It can be hours. We need to address this issue. Currently, it's being by the police. With due respect to the system, it is done by the police. I think police have got other major issues to handle. Let it be a dedicated passport control department to man passport counters at airports and entry points. I appeal to the authorities. Third point is a one-stop center for processing of any formalities in having business in Turkey. A good example, a personal experience, is to process your residence permit, your work permit. It's quite a hassle. It's quite a hassle. In some countries, you just go to a one-stop center, fill in the form, and submit that, and it's all handled at one point. Here you have to go from Aksaray to Pendik to almost many other points, you know. So that's third point. And the fourth point is any forms that need to be filled up should have a small fine print in other language, particularly business language, English, if possible. These items I found as a foreigner in here doing business in Istanbul will help a long way towards improving the new airport in processing cargo movement. We need the custom support, strong custom support. Without custom support, that 1-point-something million of capacity is going to be a total failure. You need to support Mr. Customs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, because because we finished with the hardware, and I see we have moved into the software straight away. So we finished the hardware part. I mean, maybe we were talking about. You wanted to mention some example in the world before about two airport systems having, or we move straight into the software, these more soft items for making Istanbul.
Actually, I like to mention that Istanbul is not a city. It's like a country. Okay, and Asian part, Europe part, it's like different country, not a city. Even Istanbul, Asian and Europe part are different country. If you take those parts in Europe, each make one country. So geographically or theoretically, we can say yes, Istanbul to airport. Imagine 15 million people. So maybe 2 airport is not enough. 3 airport, 4 airport. If you think at the big picture. In Europe, we fly to many destinations, 500,000 people live there. 60 kilometers, 100 kilometers away, another airport. So it's a very big country, Istanbul. I know it's city, but I mentioned as a country. And Asian side, Europe side, even Asian side, Sabiha Gökçen. Very important because I'm in Bursa and the region of the Sakarya. Big exporters, and right now there's a big infrastructure there. If you think only the Turkish export, Sabiha Gökçen, yes. But Atatürk and the third airport, it's mostly international transit.
You're right, I mean, we have one example here, Belgium. What is the population of Belgium?
10 million?
Yeah, so it's half of the, well, almost.
There's 2 airports, which are the Brussels airport and then the low cost.
And you have even served with Liège. You have even Liège for the cargo to come back on the city.
But I mentioned 15 million, it's only for Istanbul, but Sabiha Gökçen receiving many passengers and cargo from Sakarya, Bursa, Adapazarı, that regions, they all come to the, if you calculate them, it makes totally 10 million for the Sabiha.
Okay.
I think on the infrastructure, I mean, it's pretty clear. We have shown this morning, we have demonstrated that you have the infrastructure, You have the geographic location, so I think it's pretty, it's working pretty well. What works very well in Europe is that we don't have border anymore since the EU, and most of the cargo is moving by truck. So it's very easy from, if you are a shipper, I don't know, in Luxembourg, or if you are in north of France, you can connect easily Paris, you can connect Amsterdam. In the same time, you can connect Frankfurt, London, so you have plenty of choice. And it's pretty much easy to connect. So what is important is once you have the infrastructure, it's really the process.
To the process, which is, we moved into the second part, which is the software, which was already introduced. Yes. And so when we look at the software, I mean, we have been talking about customs. Which areas do you think are the most important ones about, I mean, soft elements? I mean, I can think, I was having some examples here, customs, border management, clearance, connectivity, reliability. So there are a lot of soft items which are going to contribute to make Istanbul a very competitive cargo hub.
First of all, my name is Önder Göçmen. Today I was just audience like you, not a speaker.
But thank you for the flexibility to come over.
Always customs has flexibility, so I found myself suddenly on the stage. Sorry. Sorry.
They're very flexible. You see, they are not invited.
Yes, we are building a new airport. It is very big, very large. One of maybe the biggest, largest airport. So as the Ministry of Customs, we know it's very important airport, and we are working also in this issue. Especially last year, we organized many meetings with the Istanbul Grand Airport regarding to place of the customs offices, warehouses, something like that. So, and also this is infrastructure, but infrastructure is not enough. As you said, soft issues is very important. As customs, 10 years ago, we were around 7,000 customs officers. So within 10 years, we hired almost 7,000, 8,000 customs officers. So right now, we doubled our officers, and it's around 16,000 right now. But the officer is not enough because trade is growing, so you are not able to see everything on a paper environment. So we are also working on IT technology. So right now we are getting summary declaration in electronically, almost for 10 years. But their annexes, bill of ladings, were being submitted by hard copy. So now there are some departments in our ministry working on this issue, and by the end of year, this bill of ladings also will be submitted electronically. And when we think about the transit issue, there are two kinds of transit. The first within country, the second one, the international. So from the international perspective, in 2013, we changed some regulations and we made some facilitations. Right now it is easier, very easier. They are just sending the information, and also within 48 hours, if that goods leave the country, still just leaving notification is enough for this kind of goods. And also within the country, in transit issue, Turkish Airlines using this method, and right now we are working with Turkish Airlines very closely. We have very good collaboration, and we have been working almost 1 or 1.5 years with this issue. Our IT department is working, and hopefully within a couple months, all transit within country will be done by electronically. Turkish Airlines will send all information to customs, office of departure, and also office of arrival. So our office customs will see that information So this is very important. It's a paperless environment. We finished all legislative works, and it will be published within 2-3 months. Journal of So as I said, it is not easy because we are as customs, we are front line of the government to the business side. So there are many controls, sanitary controls, sanitary controls, other control sites, something like that. There are lots of controls. So we are in between the trade, business, and government. So we are trying to be flexible to create that balance, because we have at the same time the responsibility to collect the duties and to protect the country. So it's kind of balance. We have to facilitate the business, at the same time we have to create a safe environment. Thank you.
Do you want to add anything else on these customs? And maybe your vision from the side of the airline in this collaboration with the customs about implementing these new procedures?
Yes, of course, we have many difficulties with customs, but this is not the customs fault. I mean, in Europe, imagine a country, imagine somewhere in Europe, middle of the Europe. Where is this country? I mean, there is a country with the borders, France, Luxembourg, Germany, Austria. But look at our borders. Iraq, Syria, Iran. Very, very difficult. So we can't have the same regime. But they facilitate. They are working on it. It's not easy what they do. That's why we're working with them. It takes a long time. I mean, that's why our borders are so difficult to handle. Then it's reflect our customs. We say, oh, it's very nice, Istanbul, very geographical locations, but this is the cost of the living of this Turkey. Living of Anatolia, we have cost of this customs. It's not their fault, because the area where we live, it's very valuable. That's why we have to be careful. Customers, that's why they are very, reflects on, they work very hard on those regimes. But hopefully, one by one, we overcome of all those issues.
Thank you. Serkan, do you want to add something in this soft customs or any other item? Okay.
Hi.
to keep improving.
We'd like to reach some areas on the logistic. Of course, there are more expectations. And I'm sure that they will try to do their best in order to let us go in that balance.
Good. Looking maybe at our international guys here, maybe looking at some international examples also of these soft items. I mean, who is doing what in this? Maybe you want to share any of your examples.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have now pushed by WTO, a customs organization, is the concept of single window, where you do the filing in one location. And a few weeks ago, I met a single window from Morocco, which was a big eye-opener, because what they do is exactly what you explained. What they do, they facilitate the connectivity between the various ministries. Because this is the difficulty today when you work in a paper environment, is you have to bring this piece of paper, get the stamp from this part of the ministry, then to stamp it by another one. With a single window concept where you move in a digital environment, then you get a lot of benefit and better control. What is interesting is that most of the worldwide trade, 80% of the worldwide trade, it's what we call the legitimate trade. We know who are the shippers, we know who are the consignors. It's the 20% we don't know. So this is the part of the trade which requires attention. And what we have to do is really to work to make the 80% very easy by, for example, filing in advance. Why do we need to wait for the cargo to land? Could we do some work while the cargo is on board the aircraft? You know, it won't leave the plane. So this is this kind of, and a single window in Morocco, they are really working on keeping KPIs. to see the performance, how long it takes to clear the booth, or how long it takes to do a phytosanitary check, for example, which is an important item. You don't want to keep, I don't know, pineapples for 2 weeks inside your terminal just because you wait for a stamp. So you have really, the single window approach is really something great, and I really encourage you to also look at this aspect.
I'd just like to add, and I feel there's lots of energy to solve something, but let's maybe get back the feet on the ground, of course. I don't want to be negative, but with such an airline and a good airline community, with such a huge airport, I still cannot understand why you're not in the top 20 of the largest cargo airports in the world. So I think still lots of work needs to be done. And I actually agree with you. Turkey is a complicated country with all these different borders and so on and so on. But as you were just saying, this free clearance, the 24/7 and whatever. And I think other countries have demonstrated even countries like you just mentioned, it's also not an easy country with difficult borders. If you look at the United States, which is by far one of the most complicated and difficult countries, look at Miami. It's the center of the hub between Mexico and Latin America, and there it works. So there the government, which is also not easy, tend to work together with the airlines, with the airports, to have something right. So there are examples that it can, and I think Turkey has always proved that it can work together. Look at where Istanbul was, look at where Turkish Airlines was 20 years ago. It's amazing, so I'm sure you can do it. But you see the logistics index is going down, so I think you have to act now, especially if the airport is opening next 20 years.
Okay, yeah, well hopefully by increasing the knowledge and the awareness, this is part also of this seminar, maybe all together we can give it a push, and that's, I mean, we are from the university side always willing, and that's, I mean, we are trying to do something on our side. Just to move into the last two areas, we have mentioned briefly here about e-commerce and smart shipment. I mean, how do you see that fitting? I want to combine this e-commerce together with the Uber approach. I mean, do you see cargo in the future moving same as Uber has changed a lot the taxi business and so on? Do you see this Uber approach entering into cargo, maybe somehow connected to the e-commerce quick growth of demand? Maybe you want to give.
Again, from the customs perspective, we have simplified procedure for the e-commerce trade. So, if somebody from here buy something from China, it has different procedure compared to the other goods. So it's kind of simplified. DHL, TNT, so they are working on this area. So it's kind of easier compared to the other groups.
Okay, thank you.
Just to pick up on your issue of e-commerce, I think the Malaysia experience we had at Kuala Lumpur, we just signed with, we developed within our land site, the land banks, the e-commerce facilities where we signed with Alibaba from China quite recently. So that's going to be quite big, and that's going to be quite a center outside China in that region. So I think it's going to be a big area that needs attention as well.
I think the challenge on the e-commerce side is the scale. When you have a shipment with 10 million pieces, to make a control is very, very difficult. So that's why the technology is really the instruments that can help you to facilitate and to do a better control. Because you don't want to import from China when we are talking about lithium batteries. There are plenty of lithium batteries which are maybe not legitimate. You don't want to have them in your country so that it can catch fire in your car, or so you want to have a minimum of control. And what I see coming is also if you look at Amazon, for example, what they are doing on the logistics side. I think the way they approach full control, working a lot on the data. They don't wait for the shipment to arrive. Everything, you have a risk assessment which is done, You have so all these aspects is really also something that those integrators, they control the full spectrum. Before you go on the website, they know what you are going to buy. So they have, so with this data analytics, it's something we have been missing today. We have been missing it from the operation side in the cargo industry. We have been missing it also from a regulation and from a customs perspective. But with the single window concept led by WCO, I think it's a great approach. Big countries like I think Korea, they have a fantastic, they could grow the trade, almost double the trade without having to double the number of officers. Why? Because they focus again on the trade which is unknown. All the legitimate trade is done automatically. There is some ad hoc check which is done automatically. Automation is really what is important, not just for the operation, but also for the risk assessment. And I think this aspect is really what will boost e-commerce and to do it really in a safe environment.
I think that's something on e-commerce because I agree partially with you that there are only two business models for the moment to carry e-commerce. You have the integrators, which are fast and expensive, and they have very good relation with customs. Because amazingly, you can ship everywhere, anywhere, 24 hours, which is integrators is fast and expensive, and then you have the post offices, which are slow and cheap. What you see that these two business models are making a new business model, the middle one, which is the cross-border e-commerce, which is like the slow integrated, 3 to 6 days, and the fast post. But airlines do realize that they already carry the post to the very low postal rates, and you already carry the integrators through the one single airway bill with lots of small airway bills under it as general cargo. So if you want to do e-commerce, it's of course complicated because you need to have terms of scale, scope, and density, and especially the density for the last mile. So it's not that easy to start doing this e-commerce. But what has been proven anyway is that if you attract a big integrator to your airport, you already are much advanced in the e-commerce. So I don't know which airport has got the big integrator now, but if you have the big integrator, then you already have traditional volume. Although I think they don't move to the new airport, I think, because the network is there.
Just to complete, do you want to finish with something about e-commerce?
Actually, we have a contract with Alibaba, and many others are on the way. E-commerce is the new lifesaver product for the carriers. That's why I mentioned that at the new airport, we have a special facility for e-commerce. And right now, every year, next 5 years, e-commerce will grow at least 50 and 100%. Next 2 years, easily, 100% growth. And other 3 years, maybe between 50 and 100%. So e-commerce is coming. We have to get ready. It doesn't matter. You have the planes, you have the people, but you need infrastructure to do it. That's why we moved to the third airport. That's why we have the special infrastructure over there. And also I like to add 2 other products. E-commerce, yes, it's important, but 3D printers and the drones are the new air cargo product, and it's also blooming. It's also on the way.
Thank you.
Easy.
Serkan, do you want to finish or?
Well, it's fine because we already mentioned.
So I mean, we are also. I got some pressure from the time. Keep it here that I mean, we have to be on time as well here. We have been discussing about how important it's not only to be flexible, but to be punctual, and so we have to want to finish punctual here. Thank you very much for your participation today. Thank you very much all for coming and stay until now here, and looking forward to see you next year.